Hello everyone, I'm Eriris. Today I'm going to talk about Detective Conan. I released a summary video of Wakasa Rumi the other day, and today will be a continuation of that video. If you haven't seen the video, you can find it here. In all honesty, I think Wakasa to be Asaca. Wakasa has multiple wounds on her body in addition to being a skilled martial artist. All the pieces come together when you consider that it's an old bodyguard. If you remember, Haibara claimed that although she did not know Asaca, it was likely that she belonged to the organization. And the Haibara censor worked against Wakasa. Which means that Wakasa undoubtedly has links to the organization. Obviously, this does not prove that Wakasa is Asaca by itself. Haneda Kohji and Wakasa undoubtedly have a connection. And she was probably found at the murder scene at Haneda Kohji. Wakasa, who smelled the blood, remembered him, thus she must have been there before Haneda Kohji's blood dried. Haneda Kohji said to Wakasa, "With the Watchtower Bishop, you can be sure of making a good move. So they're going to kill me despite that?" I'm not totally sure about this, but I'll try to quickly summarize what this sentence means. Stones in the shogi are captured instead of destroyed. All captured pieces aside from the pawn can be placed anywhere on the board to be replayed. When a piece belonging to the opponent is put into play, it is used against them. Therefore, he is talk about using Wakasa against the organization in this sentence. Haneda Kohji's dying message was Karasuma, and when combined with the words he spoke to Wakasa, it is obvious that he was familiar with both the organization and Karasuma. However, Agasa, Haibara and Conan had the following discussion in manga chapter 948. But why did they have to kill a Japanese shogi player? He might have accidentally seen the millionaire get killed by the organization for getting in the way of plans. Amanda seemed to have connections with the FBI and the CIA. It's most likely that the Conans currently believe Haneda Kohji was murdered because he witnessed Amanda being murdered. But is it actually this way? Who mentions the identity of the head of a hidden organization to someone they just met? How did Haneda Kohji learn about the boss and the organization? We can assume that Wakasa and Haneda Kohji are connected because she is seen carrying the luck charm shogi stone without leaving it behind. Haneda Kohji and Wakasa may have met before Haneda Kohji went to America. Maybe Wakasa told Haneda Kohji about the organization and its boss. I'm not sure if they had Haneda Kohji's murder in mind all of the time. Haneda, on the other hand, had previous knowledge of the organization. Although there are many people claim to be lovers, but I don't think there is enough proof to back up it. Another reason I believe she is Asaca is her connection to Akai Tsutomu. Akai Tsutomu and Wakasa had a good connection, as we learned in manga chapter 1099. The Haneda Kohji case is the only case in the series that we have seen Akai Tsutomu become involved in. But I want to draw attention to the fact that after Haneda Kohji passed away, Akai Tsutomu became involved in the case. It is the furthest back 17 years because Haneda Kohji passed away then. However, the specific timing is unknown. To be honest, when I first saw Wakasa's flashback, I assumed she and Tsutomu were escaping the organization. In fact, I assumed that the person behind them was most likely Ram. He got into a fight with Akai Tsutomu after this incident and lost an eye. But how did Wakasa and Tsutomu meet in the first place? I think there are two possibilities. The first possibility is that Wakasa did not immediately leave the organization after Haneda Kohji passed away. Akai Tsutomu infiltrated the organization. As you know, the organization's members work in two-person teams. Akai Tsutomu and Wakasa became a team. They became friends over time, and when Tsutomu offered to help her, like with the protection program, for instance, Wakasa, whose loyalty to the organization had been damaged by the Haneda Kohji incident, accepted. The second possibility is that Wakasa quit the organization immediately following the incident with Haneda Kohji. When Akai Tsutomu was looking into the case of Haneda Kohji, he was able to find Asaca, who is Wakasa, and offered her help, including protection in exchange for information. Wakasa accepted this offer since he was being followed by the organization. But each of these theories have a weakness. As you are known, Mary and Akai Tsutomu are both MI6 agents. The MI6 agents must have been aware of Wakasa if Akai Tsutomu had a protection plan or helped Wakasa. However, there hasn't been a scene about it. Apart from these, a third possibility is that those who follow him are not an organization. For example, like the first possibility, Akai Tsutomu infiltrated the organization and teamed up with Wakasa. They were in a dangerous situation while on a mission assigned by the organization. Akai is on Tsutomu, attempting to buy time for Wakasa to escape. To sum it up, something like this probably happens. However, I genuinely think that the organization is after them. Because Akai Tsutomu is involved in the incident of Ram's eye, as Aoyama mentioned in his most recent interview. If the organization is chasing them, how did they find out about Wakasa and Tsutomu's whereabouts, or if they were betrayals in the first place, how did the organization find out? They probably noticed that from Elena. Mary, the wife of Akai Tsutomu, has a sister named Elena. When Elena was pregnant Shiho, Mary had already warned her sister about the Karasuma group. Elena and her husband Atsushi nevertheless choose to join the group. I think Akai Tsutomu would want to help Elena if she learned through Mary that her sister Karasuma was working by the organization or if he learned about Elena's work there through. If you remember, Elena was known as Hell Angel within the organization. In the manga, Haibara translated this to meaning the angel which fell into hell. As I mentioned in a previous video, I think that Elena was given this nickname to emphasize the differences between her and her sister Mary. Vermouth's words I wonder. How does it feel to depart from this world at the hands of your sister's creation? To Mary while she was drinking poison proved this. However, something happened and Elena made a mistake as a result of which they discovered Wakasa and Tsutomu planned, and Ram went after them to punish them. Wakasa is told to leave by Akai Tsutomu, who claims it would buy time. That's why Wakasa hates Elena. She believed that everything would go according to plan if she didn't make mistakes. I think this is the reason why, in manga chapter 1097, Wakasa said about Shiho, I had a feeling that she looks like daughter of certain woman who ruined my life. Wakasa might have been a part of the organization in the past, but it is obvious that she is not a part of it at the current. First of all, Wakita wouldn't have asked Conan about Wakasa like in chapter 1100 if Wakasa were a current member of the organization. But there is a problem if Wakasa isn't now a member of the organization. How did Wakasa find the apatoxin 4869 victim list? I should first draw attention to the fact that Kudo Shinichi's name and the inscription next to it are clearly visible on this list. Therefore, this list ought to have been created at least after the organization confirmed Shinichi's death. Since Shinichi was poisoned in the world of Detective Conan, a series of months had passed. So, how did Wakasa get on this list if she wasn't a member of the organization? There are two ways. Either the organization hacked the computer or system, or someone inside gave him information. In all honesty, I don't think that the organization can be easily hacked. After all, the FBI, CIA, and other police departments have already done it. Also, we are aware that the organization hires skilled computer programmers. These computer programmers have probably worked on the organization's digital system, even if that isn't their main goal. It is possible that Wakasa may be even better than Conan in terms of prediction and deduction abilities, but we do not know how much Wakasa knows about computers. So I can't say for sure that she did or did not. Who gave this knowledge to Wakasa, if there is an insider information flow? What is its aim as well? Does he want the organization to be destroyed, or is she doing this because she likes Wakasa? With the information we now have, it is difficult to make any definitive statements. Quite frankly, it appears that we will have to wait till the next chapters on this issue. By the way, throughout the video, I referred to him as Wakasa Rumi, but that is a fake name. Her exact name and age are unknown to us. If you're wondering how I know her name is fake, consider how Kurata and Wakita reacted when they learned that Wakasa had been found in news in manga chapter 897. I believe they are reacting to Wakasa's name rather than her face, since her identity becomes unrecognizable when she hides part of her face in Detective Conan's world. For example, Conan wears glasses, Haibara wears a hat. The name Wakasa Rumi is the topic of many theories. You may have seen some of these on the internet. However, there is something to which I want to draw attention today. Gasho Aoyama provided the following response to a question in an interview. Wakasa Rumi sensei's name always looks like Wakasa, to Damaru, Atsukushisa. Is it related to Vermouth's immortality? You're amazing! Even if we think Wakita is reacting to it, I don't believe Kuroda is reacting to it. So the name Wakita Rumi must have a different anagram. Aoyama Gasho's response to this question, though, raises doubts about the connection between Wakasa and Vermouth. Vermouth, you might remember that she didn't like Elena. Many people, including myself, relate this to Vermouth's anti-aging properties. It's possible that Wakasa used a drug like Vermouth to stop aging. She is actually older than 37 years old. She might not like Elena because of this. Additionally, Wakasa had a strong dislike for Elena if there had been an incident involving Akai Tsutomu. In fact, if we take this theory a step further, Vermouth may have leaked the insider information to Wakasa. Vermouth does not like the organization and she wants it destroyed. This also explains why Apatoxin 4869 victim list in Wakasa. This was obviously a bit of a crazy assumption, but to be honest, it's difficult to figure out what Wakasa is up to. She never attempted to hide himself from Conan. Conan finding the market receipt, for example. He realizes that Wakasa invited them to her house because she suspected this crime would occur. It wouldn't be difficult for Wakasa to hide the receipt. She might have thrown the plug away or hidden it because she was known that Conan would be visiting by her home. The receipt, however, was left in the living room. So I think she purposefully made Conan find it. Even more difficult to understand is Haibara. Why would Haibara like Wakasa? She said to like her despite being aware of Wakasa's connection with the organization. Let me add that you might have missed it. Haibara is aware that Amuro was beaten by Wakasa. The Shogi stone in Wakasa's pocket caught her eye. But she doesn't seem to have changed his mind. On the internet, people think that she learned about Wakasa from tapes left by her mother. Conan only listened to the first few minutes of the tapes, as you know. So it's possible that he missed the information. To be honest, I think that Elena left information about the organization on tapes for her daughter. But that still doesn't explain Shiho's liking for Wakasa. Why would Elena tell her daughter that someone who dislikes her is a nice person? If she truly described Wakasa as a good person on the tape, it implies that the troubles with Wakasa occurred after this tape was recorded. However, Haibara is certain that Wakasa will not harm her. Do you think Wakasa has any intentions of hurting Haibara or other kids in the future? What are your overall thoughts on Wakasa? Please share your views with me in the comments. That's it for today. Thanks for watching the video till the end.